This segment is being brought to you by Tennessee Wildlife Resources Agency. Join us in preserving and protecting Tennessee's wildlife. All right, welcome back, everyone. We have with us tonight Marty Carter and Jeff Eel. And Jeff, been on the show before, great friend of mine. Mad Dad Lures is the name of his company. And Marty, you like his stuff.
You bet.
It has caught you a bunch of fish.
Several.
And we wanted you to hear from Marty. Marty could have any choice of anything he wants to throw. He's been throwing that Mad Dad lure, the 5 and the 6 inch swim baits with the weighted hook in it. And I could sit here and tell people all day long how long it'll last, but you've actually been throwing these things and you know how long they'll last.
Yeah, this one, I know for a fact I have caught at least over 5 pounds on this swim bait. You know, and it
looks like there's not a mark on it, but I see some.
I mean, you can see the marks.
I see some teeth marks.
Put the light in it, but yeah, you know, they're really well constructed baits. And I ain't saying they won't tear them up with a big stripe run up behind one of them and load on there. You know, he don't get that hook, they're gonna leave.
They're gonna leave. That's right.
But you know, most of the time they're not gonna miss that 9/0 hook.
Now you like the 9/0 hook?
I do.
Big hooks mean more setting strength. When you rear back on that, and I want to ask you that. You know, some lures you don't need to really set a hard setback on or a hook set. Some you just sweep because and let the hook do its own thing, and that is sharp hooks.
Well, the only one that I don't really, you know, set the hook hard on is Carolina rig, or if I'm using a spinning rod, you know, with real light line. But if I'm using those baits right there, I'm using 20 to 25 pound test fluorocarbon on them, and he hits it up, I'm dropping the hammer on him.
You're going to rearrange his face.
I'm going to bury that plumb through his skull if I can get it through there, because he don't come off.
No, he won't.
If you can run that hook through their head that comes out the other side, that fish is in the live well unless you break him off.
That's right.
There's no excuse for breaking 20 to 25 pound test line.
No, no. Now, in using the swim baits, where do you primarily use them? You use them everywhere?
I've used them at Percy Priest, Gunnersville, Wheeler.
What are you looking for? What tells Marty this is swim bait territory?
Well, it's the time of the year most of the time. You know, we're in a little bit of a slack period right now for the swim baits. You know, normally swim baits go to tapering off right after the spawn. Now, they didn't this year. I caught them plumb up to the end of May.
Right.
And but normally, like at Wilson, Pickwick, you know, you get under those dams and you sit right there on the edge of that tail race and cast that thing out in the tail race and just keep your line tied on it while it's swimming by. Or like at Gunnersville, you know, you find those grass humps swimming across the top of them. You know,
they can't hardly take
pull it down the ledges. And now, people don't understand about these swim baits. You know, most days you're not going to go out there and you're not going to catch 100 fish. And people don't understand you're hunting 5 quality bites during that day to win that tournament. And you can get them on that right there if you're constant and be persistent with it, especially in the winter months.
Gunnersville's been known to be the frog fishing capital, really, of the South. I mean, if you're not throwing a frog, you're not catching fish. But
well, that's in the, you know, that's from right now to when she starts to cool off a little bit, the 1st of September.
You need to give that swim bait a try every now and then, don't you?
Pay attention when you're fishing. It don't matter if you're pulling a spinnerbait, if you're pulling a jig, pulling a trap, frog, whatever. A lot of times those fish will tell you what they're wanting.
Oh, yeah.
That fish will run right by the bait when you pull it to the boat.
Yes.
And when they're doing that, you need your swim bait tied on.
Swim bait tied on.
And over the last couple of weeks, I don't know how many I've caught that, just like I was at Wilson Saturday in that 104-degree heat.
Oh, man.
And made a throw. I mean, first turn of the crank on the crankbait, fish hit it, 3-pounder. They'll put it in the wagon. 2 or 3 throws later, another one about 2 pound hits it. But it's on the first crank. You know, the fish they're up next to the surface feeding on shad.
Yeah.
So put you on a swim bait, burning across the top, because that thing right there disperses water, got tail action to it. I mean, if you get it up close to the top, you can see the tail slinging it.
It does. And I like the fact that the weighted hooks, I can sit there and count it down. If I'm looking on my graph and they're all in 20 foot of water, but they're all at 12 foot, I just count it down, and I always keep it up above them, but I'll count down to about 8, and then I'll start slow rolling it in, and it usually
a lot of the time, if you know, if you can find them suspended up off the bottom, you know, like 2 foot, when that thing touches the bottom, you rip it up and rip it through them. And if you can ever get one of them to bite, most of the time it'll fire them up. And we do that with spoons down there on the edges of the ledges on Pickwick. If they're just sitting there and we can't get them fired up, we'll take that spoon, we'll try to jerk it into one of them to get them to moving.
Jeff, we've had you on the show a few times, and we've highlighted the swim baits. What got you thinking about swim baits?
Well, to me, it's one of their primary meals. You know, either you know, largemouth, they're after bait fish, or they're after crawfish. And I tried to cover both those areas. That's why I sell a lot of crawl. You know.
But I mean, what got you to say, you know, I need a bait to catch these fish?
Well, I just didn't like, you know, a lot of other swim baits out there don't really have the tail action that I was looking for. You know, and there is a lot of good baits out there. Don't get me wrong, there is a lot of good swim baits out there. But to me, they just don't have the action that I'm looking for. You know, and a lot of these lakes, you take Lake Fork in Texas, you know, they want something that they can reel really slow through that grass or a ton of stumps that they can, you know, rig it up weedless, but they can creep it through the water, and that thing's going to have tail action. A lot of your baits on the market today don't have that kind of tail action.
Now, he designed, I mean, you started off with kind of an oval, and then you went to a square, and then now you've got what you call a step down tail.
Yeah, I do.
And has that, I mean, Marty, has that helped?
It's tremendous on the tail action when you move it slow.
That's what you want.
That's what you want.
And that step down tail, and that's unique in the fact that you're the one that has it.
Yeah.
But it gives it, I gotta say, I've seen it in clear water, I've seen it in muddy water, whatever. It moves the best I've ever seen. That action alone is what I think attracts the fish.
We had a little bit of trouble on Wilson and Pickwick this year because of all that flooding. You know, the water stayed real dingy. And I would take the whole thing, spray it chartreuse.
Yeah.
You know, just like, say for instance, this one right here, and you chartreuse the whole thing.
Really?
I don't know how many I caught. It's just unbelievable.
I do want to say one other thing, you know, it took me a while to finally get what I wanted, but I did want to let you know also, we do have patent pending on this thing.
Oh yeah, yeah. There's patent pending on all of this now.
Yeah, we do.
But I want to also say that it's not just bass species only, because you've caught walleye, sauger,
yes,
all that stuff on the smaller versions. Crappie, you've even come out with some small crappie baits that will work really on there, that work really well.
Yeah, we do.
So we just want to say, but I want to show, I'm intrigued by your jigs over here. Now, tell me a little bit about those, Marty, because I love the smaller profile jig.
A lot of times people don't, you know, when they hear you're catching a fish on a jig, I think it's a lead head with a skirt on it.
Or a mop jig.
There's as much difference in those jigs as there is in swim baits.
Oh, yeah.
You know, you got, depending on what you're going to do, if you're going to cast it, you need a small hook because you're going to be setting the hook diagonally. You know, that's on a downward slope.
That's right.
And if you're flipping it, you need a bigger hook in it because you're going to be setting the hook vertical, and it's got to snatch the hook straight up and put the hook through the top of its mouth.
Right.
You know, so like if you're on a ledge, you know, fishing deep, you're using a 3/4, 1 ounce, like this one right here. This is a 3/4 ounce. See how big that hook is?
Yeah, let me hold it up there for him. I'll hold it up there for him. That is all right, that's a 3/4 ounce. Let me get this piece of paper right here. That'll help them look at it a little bit more.
And that's in the green pumpkin red.
That is a huge hook. Now that is for ledge fishing?
That's for ledge fishing. You know, you put a big big crawfish on it. You want something that disperses water when it's going down.
Okay.
And when you rip it off the bottom, that crawfish, you know, if you've got a crawfish, either that or a trailer, it's got tails on it, that's moving.
That's right. So it's displacing water too.
When you set the hook on it, you want a hook down there that's going to go right through the top of its head.
Do you think though, Marty, I mean, because there's so many jig manufacturers out there, I see some problems is when they put the trailer on there, there's not enough hook left to really...
Well, that's why we got the big hook in it.
That's the reason you did that.
That's right.
Great to have somebody that fishes it.
Those are a little more expensive to pour up, you know, than a regular hook, but how much would you give to have a 5-pounder in a live well?
Oh, I'd have given you $50 last weekend.
Well, that's what I'm talking about. It's like those swim baits, you know.
Yeah.
You know, you can buy a swim bait that's got a head poured in it that you're not going to have to be fooling with and super gluing all day, like this one. Or you can buy one of them that you're going to have to super glue and continuously be fooling with all day.
And peeling that stuff off your skin. Right. Hey, we got to do our product of the week, and I want Marty to show you a product here in just a second, but let's go do our product of the week. It's being brought to you by Highland Rim Tractor right there in Millersville, Tennessee. Right off the interstate. It's Highland Rim Tractor. They are your Mahindra tractor dealer. Go by there and see Mr. John Story or his mother Linda Story, and they will fix you up. They got all kinds of tractors out there, Mahindras, and they also have these bad boy lawnmowers that just are, they look like something from a Klingon, you know. There's something else to watch out there. So go give them a holler and tell them Southern Woods and Water sent you. I want you, Marty, to tell us about the spinnerbaits you've got here. Can you just show a couple of them and tell us why you like them?
This is a spinnerbait that I have used and made since the 1980s.
Well, I'm going to get them both up here.
They have got an ultra-light wire on them.
Oh, yeah, I want to show everybody.
The vibration is unbelievable.
That's a lot of vibration.
I mean, when you throw it out there, that rod tip sitting up there doing that right there, and you're just barely moving that spinnerbait, and that's what you want.
That's what you want.
You want that spinnerbait as slow as possible.
Can I also tell them, look at where the spinner is to the hook. Now, you designed it that way. Why?
Well, you're running a trailer back there behind it, and you want it to set even.
Okay. Okay.
You know, because if he runs up there and they're going to be coming down on the bait most of the time. They're going to engulf that spinner in their mouth, and you want them on that angle. And you want them to mash it down? If you look at the angle, they're going to come down on it like that right there, and they're going to run right into that hook.
Okay.
It just, the long arm just seems to work better sometimes, but it's like everything else. Sometimes they want a gold blade. Sometimes they want a nickel blade. Sometimes,
you just got to figure out what they want.
Sometimes they want the gold and the nickel. Sometimes they want a black blade.
Well, now save that because we're going to give that as a tip of the week, okay? All right. All right. We've got to go and visit some of our fine sponsors. We'll be right back with more of Southern Woods and Waters.